How to balance our yin and yang to avoid civil war or even World War III. The yin and yang is one of the most elegant symbols to represent one of the most insightful philosophies. It brilliantly sums up the universe's balance of everything in it as observed by Lao Tzu, a Chinese philosopher from the 6th century BC. The yin and yang represents the dark and the light, chaos and order, matter and energy, positivity and negativity, femininity and masculinity, the individual and the collective, competition and cooperation, creation and destruction, opposing forces that are virtually impossible to have one without the other. Particularly the contrast between creation and destruction, because nothing can be created without destroying something else, and even when something is destroyed, something entirely new is created. That eternal balance between creation and destruction seems to be the very fabric of all reality. It's how the very atoms that make up everything in the universe seem to function. They're in a perpetual state of motion, as they attract each other when they're close enough together, but repel when they're pressured into each other. From this eternal ebb and flow between the attraction and repulsion of atoms, we get everything we love and hate that lives and dies before evolving into something else. Since none of us are born with an instruction manual, finding the proper balance between the opposites and extremes can be somewhat difficult for anyone who wants to achieve some peace of mind through homeostasis within their environment. This is why so much of life is figured out through trial and error, and even then, what works for some people doesn't necessarily work for others. One person's trash is another person's treasure. So when it comes to the ever-widening political divide in our nation, it's not surprising we're at each other's throats. But it should not be surprising that we have more in common than not, since every problem has a solution. But for every problem, there's also selfish opportunists who gain more from the problems than the solutions. These are the people who keep the rest of us from solving problems that could have been fixed a long time ago. They know how to keep the divide going between people, especially between another eternal contrast that's almost impossible to escape: liberalism versus conservatism. Because all of us at some point will be forced to be liberal and open to new ideas when problems arise, especially if we want to conserve whatever we can't afford to lose, such as our own lives. There is no easy solution to end the liberal-conservative polarization we're going through in our country. But one thing that helps is to remind people that they don't have to pick one side only. You don't have to choose between being a liberal or a conservative, and much less do you have to be a Democrat or a Republican. Yet tribalism and groupthink is a much stronger impulse than most people can control, especially people who aren't even aware of it. Of course there's reasons for it. We're social creatures and we're inextricably dependent upon one another. The idea of being excommunicated or isolated is a terrifying feeling for most people. But the only people who should really be living in fear are the very opportunists who profit from these divides, who profit more from the problem than the solution. In order to keep ourselves from any more needless divide, we need to do a better job of identifying these people and stopping them before they continue dividing us. And we need to identify these people from both sides of the political aisles. We need to call out the leftist activists as well as the right-wing demagogues, the supposedly anti-fascist and anti-racism crusaders, as well as the religious and nationalist extremists they target. I could get into naming specific people, but despite fearing libel or defamation lawsuits, the last thing I want to do is judge. However, we do need to identify these people, and once we do, we need to stop following their bad ideas and much less idolizing them. These are the people that disrupt the balance we can achieve as a nation, not to mention as a species on this planet. We need to be more open to the reality that there are bad faith actors who thrive off chaos, instability, and inequality, though they do a pretty good job of convincing millions of people that they're the only solution. They're especially good at getting people to turn on their own friends and families in order to enrich and empower themselves. These people are the evil we cannot ignore, which is one of the only flaws of Lao Tzu's many philosophical observations. He had stated, "Give evil nothing to oppose and it will disappear." This is hardly the case. But Lao Tzu can't be blamed considering he lived long before the advent of science, and particularly neuroscience, that has allowed us to discover that there are people who are neurologically incapable of compassion regarding the suffering of others. These people are called psychopaths. And while not all psychopaths become dictators and serial killers, there is a spectrum to this disorder. And psychopaths who are hell-bent on power and securing that power for their own selfish gain, no matter what the cost to others, these are people we cannot ignore. They need to be stopped. And sometimes they need to be killed before they kill you, or worse yet, continue killing others. With that sentiment, I will bring this video to a close, since killing other human beings isn't the moral of this video, and it's not the most harmonious way to achieving peace, let alone peace of mind. However, just like you can't create without destroying, you can't survive without eliminating the very evil that causes needless, avoidable suffering, which disrupts the necessary balance for peace and harmony. If I got anything wrong in this video, please let me know in the comments below. But if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell for upcoming videos, check out the links below for my original art and merchandise, and thanks for watching.